Welcome to Seize the Mains by Malhotra's IS Academy. I'm Surbhi Sardana and I'm taking this daily answer writing initiative for UPSC and State Civil Services Mains from Monday to Friday at 9 pm. If you are new, you can download the entire compilation for season 1 where we discussed all the questions and answers from the link in the description below. Also, you can download the timetable from the given link in the description below. Starting with our today's discussion, it's day 54 of Seize the Mains and our topic for today is from GS paper 2, Role of Civil Services in a Democracy. Questions from this area in UPSC mains have not been asked very much in quantity. So, the frequency of questions from this area has been very much less. So, here we are taking one of the previous year questions and we'll just understand how to answer these questions, answer this type of question. But before starting, keep a pen and a paper handy with you. Take notes during the entire session, and also when you see the question, pause the video, draw your own structure for the answer, make your own structure, decide what kind of content you will be using and then proceed on to writing the answer. Has the cadre-based civil services organization been the cause of slow growth in India? Critically examined, there is an omission here, so it has been the cause of slow growth in India. You have to critically examine in 150 words for 10 marks. As I always say that answers in 150 words cannot be given in complete if you write full sentences. So don't resort to writing full sentences. If you are going to write in points, then that's the best approach. Especially when you are asked questions like critically examine, where you have to see in detail what are the aspects of this problem. So you can have like 1 to 5 points, and what you can do is draw a flow chart, tree diagram, a flow chart, note down your points here so that the examiner knows on the first sheet itself that what are you talking about, what are you going to talk about, and then you can proceed to write your answer. Or what and within your answer also you can give headings 1 to 5. Once you give the heading, don't write full sentences here, just write the keywords, just write as much as it is required for the examiner to understand. For example, in point 1 you can write sub points like this, separated by a semicolon. Never forget a punctuation mark while answering your questions. These they make you look more intelligent when the examiner reads your answer. Punctuation marks punctuation signs are very important, so just keep an eye on them, try not to omit them. So here we have introduction. As usual, we'll start by writing the introduction for this answer. First we'll write the basic intro, followed by the critically examined part, that is our body paragraph. We'll try to understand and see, this is a previous year question. This was asked by UPSC in 2017. By that time, new cadre policy was not in place. That's why we have taken this question. If in future UPSC does ask you a question about the role of civil services in a democracy, it might ask you to compare and contrast how have both the cadre policies served the nation. What is the difference and has there any improvement happened? So it is very important that we address this previous year question so that you know and you can be prepared for any future questions which are asked from this area. So after the critically examined part, we'll conclude by giving the a brief overview of the new cadre policy that has come in place in 2017 itself, or we'll end, sum up by giving a way forward in our concluding paragraph. So let's first of all read out the introduction. In the introduction, what we do is read the question here. Cadre based civil services, that's the one keyword. And civil services itself is the second keyword. So first we'll introduce what all these terms mean to the examiner. For example, even if a student is reading your answer for the first time, he should be able to understand what you are writing about. Some technical details will be put in so that the examiner understands that you know about this topic. So that is the purpose of your introduction, to tell the examiner that yes, you are very well versed and you are confident about this answer. So that gets reflected in the introduction or on the first page of your sheet itself, first page of the answer that you are taking. So, in all India services, once selected, candidates are assigned cadres based on their preferences, merit and availability of positions. In India, each state is a cadre with exceptions, with some exceptions like what we have for Delhi and other UTs like that, AGMUT and DANIX. These are joint state cadres with multiple states. So, this is the explanation for the cadre based allocation system of services that we had in India pre 2017. So, civil services in India has been organized in such a way that they are appointed by the union government, but their immediate control is exercised by the state government. And how this helps in, how this control of state government but appointment by union government helps in the benefit of democracy. This ensures that officers are aligned with both the governments. They are also expected to serve the central government on deputation. They are then they leave their positions as IAS or whatever they are serving as, and they go to central government to work as secretaries, advisors, or seats like that. So, that control of central government is not direct, but it is always there. You can be expected to serve any of the governments at any point of time. So, that was supposed to maintain consistency in the working, to avoid corruption. These lots of transfers used to take place, cadre was allocated to maintain a kind of efficiency in the system, but that was not seen to be happening, especially around the 1980s and 1990s. So, issues with cadre based civil services. What are the issues with cadre based civil services? It was expected that outsiders to state cadre would ensure a higher level of objectivity and neutrality in a system which was likely to face enormous regional and local pressure, but partisanship, local considerations and nepotism crept into the system. So, it was thought of that if we have officers from outside, then regionalism will not creep in. Okay, and if the officer is allocated a cadre, then he will be working efficiently and neutrally towards the development of his cadre. But with time, it was seen that nepotism crept in, local considerations and partisanships, supporting one person or one organization, one project over the other, it crept in, and there was rampant corruption taking place. The control of government was getting loosened and civil services was marred with corruption. The second one is permanency of cadres. So, it results in, what does permanency of cadres result in? It results in efficiency and ineffectiveness in the working of civil services, as it diminishes the all India character and limits the officers concerned to local issues. See, this is all India services that we are talking about, and once cadres have been allocated, one officer used to spend the entire life of his, the entire span of his service in a one particular state. So, that affinity to that state and contacts and that inefficiency that comes with time by getting to know the real work situations of a place, that motivation also goes down with time. So, that was a side effect that was coming in. Provincialization. It was expected by officers to opt for deputation in like union government or ministries from time to time, but this motivation was not seen in the officers. In fact, many officers used to reject any calls that used to come from union government. Calls is not like phone calls, but anything they were expected to do, or any charge that they were given by the union government. So, that was rejected, especially in some of the affluent northern states of India. This has been seen as something very frequent. So, this was an issue. The proportions of officers who genuinely alternate between state and central government has declined. Adoption of best practices. Provincialization of civil services reduces capacity of the civil services to adopt and disseminate good practices of other cadres. There is so much imbalance in the development of our country, and one of the reasons is this also, because officers do not get to learn from examples of other officers working in other parts of the country. Now we have a lot of connectivity, social media is there, newspapers are covering everything, but when you're transferred to a place and made to work with some of the other officers who have worked for development of some other area, then you get to learn better. So this was not taking place. Adoption of best practices wasn't taking place. Collusion with local politicians. After a certain time, when the officers know that this is the state they have to work in forever for their entire service span, so they join hands with the local politicians for the kind of promotions they want or the kind of benefits they want. So for the want of better position, they collude with local politicians. The sixth one is large variation. There are large variations in the size of IS cadre with respect to total state population. So that imbalance is there with respect to the number of officers posted in one of this in particular state with respect to the population there. So as a result, the IS cadre in UP is 40% smaller than it should be, while in Sikkim it is 15% more than it should be based on population alone. Also, many small states have much better representation in central ministries and departments than their larger peers. This is something we talked about in the previous slide also, that some of the affluent states, officers from some of the affluent states are not opting to work in the central ministries because they are happy working back with the state government itself, where they have been posted as IS officers or as All India Services officers. So this is creating a mismatch that, you know, officers from some states are coming to the top and sharing the best practices, sharing their knowledge and experience, while from some affluent states or any other states for that matter, they are not coming forward to serve at the to work with the central government. Sometimes it happens that the perks that they are getting are lesser, or you know that again they have colluded with the local politicians, or they think that life is comfortable where they are staying, so they stay back there and they do not wish to go to Delhi and, you know, start a parallel life again altogether. So that is one of these are the major reasons, and government was losing control. The right people in the government were losing control over how to make services more efficient. So these were the problems. This was your critically examined part. Also, you can add some positive parts of it from your side in the end, towards this towards the end of this body paragraph. But since the new cadre policy was brought in by the government, so resorting only to writing the negative part is a good idea, because whenever government brings in something, it is obviously because the previous thing was not serving well, and whenever some policy is brought up and it is exchanged, an old policy is exchanged by some new policy or a new measure, the positives of the old order are incorporated in the new system. They are always there, and the negatives of the previous order are dealt with efficiently. So make sure that whenever you are writing whatever government has launched, whatever government has brought in, never go against it, even in, like, you know, critical questions. So never go against them, just take a balanced stand if you have to go against it also. Okay, so conclusion. In the conclusion, since this is a previous year question of 2017, so I request that you also go through the new cadre policy of 2017. If there are any editorials, you can go to Google News column and find editorials there. If there are any comparisons drawn between the previous cadre policy and new cadre policy, this is a highly expected question. It can be asked from asked any time in mains, like this year, next year, or maybe beyond that. So this comparison, because when this Niti Aayog was also replaced, a lot of times compare and contrast questions between Planning Commission and Niti Aayog were asked, and this is again the next probable question. So when we come to the conclusion, we'll say that new cadre policy has been brought up, lateral entry has been resorted to, because many posts at the ministry level, they require the experience of specialist. Civil services, civil servants are generalist. Who's a generalist? Generalists have knowledge of all the spheres, little knowledge of all the spheres. So civil servants are generalists. While, for example, if you talk about a doctor or an advocate, they are specialists in their field. I think you must have read about this debate in ethics also, the generalist versus specialist debate. So To keep it balanced, many ministries take out lateral entry posts, so that people working in some other sectors, for example private sectors, but who are specialists in their field, are appointed directly at key positions in the key high positions. So the new cadre policy 2017 aimed at national integration. This is something in bracket. So it says that new cadre policy was aimed at national integration. It divides the 26 states into 5 zonal cadres. In the introduction we said that in India each state is a cadre, but we were addressing this previous year question. So we said that, but now 5 zones have been given to the all the states that were there. It looks to resolve these issues. So also the recent move by the government to directly recruit experts for specialized position is a welcome move and in accordance with the recommendation of second ARC. So this is your way forward, this is your conclusion for a 150 words answer. This kind of conclusion is enough. Also, if you have any recommendation, and recommendation should not be your own. I understand that you could be a student with a PSIR optional or a master's or a PhD in political science, PABAT, anything like that, any humanities subject. Don't give your own recommendations. If any recommendations have been read by you in editorials, especially in editorials written by people who are not very much anti-state, who are working with the state or working for the benefit of the state, whether they are writing articles or they are posted somewhere. So either those, some recommendations of like administrative reforms commission like the second ARC, if there are any recommendations that are there, mention those. Law commission reports. Law commission reports come from time to time, and law commission is appointed to give its suggestions or advices on the key issues that our country is facing. So law commission reports, their recommendations, just go through the previous 5 years of law commission reports, only recommendations. Don't download the entire report, but just take the summary of like 100 words, that what were their key recommendations and how can you use them in your answer. So conclude by using such legal things, anything mentioned in the constitution, any article you can think of, or Universal Declaration of Human Rights, things like that, UN charters. They are like good examples, good ways to end your answer with. So this is about today. This is the question for today. Again, I'm saying this is not a mock question, this is a previous year question. So we have given the facts with respect to previous year facts itself. Now they are not relevant. This was just to explain you how to address answers and to make you aware with one of the key topics. Also, we are taking previous year questions only. Now after prelims, when we restart this initiative, we'll be taking mock questions again, and by that time you will also be free to send us more and more answers. Send your answers to this question in the next 24 hours at this email ID rmiasmainswriting@gmail.com. You can download the PDF for this entire presentation from the link in the description below, and keep working hard, keep your preparation balanced. Stay tuned and all the best. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, this is the right time. Subscribe to the channel and let us know that yes, we are making a change in your preparation. Take care.